I just listed 2 new homes this past week, and you aren't gonna believe it, guys. They didn't sell at the end of the weekend. What's up, guys? It's McKeown back again with another video this week. This was actually recommended that I do just because being a realtor in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex and doing this on a daily basis, there is a ton that is going on with the housing market right now. So first things first, guys, all of my opinions are gonna be localized to my market, the Dallas-Fort Worth market in Texas. Obviously, there's different markets across the country and every single market is going to vary, but all of my opinion, once again, is gonna be localized to my own market. So I can tell you firsthand, there are certain areas of my market, especially the North Texas area, you know, your Collin County, your Denton County, that are extremely hot. Hot meaning we're still getting a ton of offers on every single house. People are still moving. People are still trying to acquire houses at just ridiculous prices. But I will give you an instance where, as I mentioned before, I put a house on the market and it was priced accordingly and it didn't sell within the first weekend. Now, a little bit of clarity with that house. It does come with acreage. It's on the south side of the metro. It's a little bit higher on the price point, upwards close to 700,000, which our average price point in our market's more 350 to 400. So it is a little bit of a different sell when it comes to a home, but at the end of the day, I still currently have no offers and we've had the house on the market for coming up on just about a week. Now, I can tell you I am working and hopefully going to execute an offer here soon. We're expecting probably 2 or 3 coming in shortly, but nothing is set in stone until it's actually in my inbox. Now, on the flip side, I did have one of my agents on my team submit an offer for a house that was listed in the North Metro. It's listed around 360 and it's gonna sell close to 400. So things are certainly still crazy, even with the ridiculous interest rates that are currently happening in our market. Now, when I say ridiculous, I'm talking about ridiculous in comparison to the last couple of years of what we're used to. I mean, personally, I was getting an interest rate in the low 2s with my VA loan, both of my VA loans when I did an interest rate reduction loan. I got an investment loan at 3 3/4 or 3.75. And now if you were to get an interest rate on a rental property, you're pushing close to probably 6, if not mid 6s. Now, to give you guys an idea just on the interest rates, I purchased an investment property back in December for a 3.75% interest rate. To be honest with you, I am never probably gonna be able to touch that again. I do have a primary in the high 1s, but that is a 15-year mortgage, not a 30-year mortgage. But if you fast forward from December of 2021, when I purchased that house, to almost May of 2022, so not even technically 5 months later, interest rates, if you were to purchase an investment property right now, you're probably looking in the 6s. So at this point, interest rates have almost doubled. So when I say ridiculous interest rates, I'm just referring to the fact that we've been blessed with the opportunity to be able to purchase real estate for so cheap when it comes to borrowing money from banks or lenders or mortgage companies. But at the end of the day, that doesn't stop me from purchasing rental properties. It doesn't matter at the end of the day what the interest rate is. It matters what the return is. So if you find a property that makes sense at 5.5, at 6, at 6.5, 7, 8%, wherever interest rates may go, I can tell you if interest rates go down, you're gonna be even more happy because you're gonna be able to refinance and cash flow even better. The other side is if interest rates continue to climb, you're gonna be thankful that you locked in a 6 or 7% when interest rates potentially could go up to 8, 9, 10%. So to get back to my local market, first things first, interest rates, if you've been purchasing a home in the last maybe 5 years, 6, maybe 10 years, interest rates may be climbing to what would be technically high for you. But if you look back at really the past multiple decades, a 6%, a 7, 8, 10% interest rate for a home is not that bad. Obviously, the lower the better, but to be honest with you, we've kind of been given a great opportunity with such low interest rates that anyone and everyone has honestly been taking advantage of it to the point to where that's the reason why hikes have happened, because they need to calm down the housing market. But even with interest rates rising, we still have a ridiculous amount of buyers that are trying to purchase a home. I can tell you, me personally, as a realtor, I've sold, I believe, close to 70 homes myself in 2021, 75 in 2020, and I'm probably on pace for about the same in 2022. So if you do the math, about 225 homes in the last 3 years. A majority of those have either been VA or conventional loans. A lot of my clients have tried to purchase with an FHA loan, but me personally, there hasn't been a ton of luck. And the reason is because when you're competing against cash buyers, when you're competing against conventional buyers that are putting 20, 30, 40% down on a home, it becomes very difficult for an individual with lower credit, with less of a competitive financial backing, with an FHA loan. It's very difficult in this market to get an FHA offer accepted. So what does happen is if the market decides to turn a little bit or slow down a little bit, I can tell you that the individuals that have been trying for over a year, decided maybe to rent again or rent for another year, they're gonna finally get back out in the market and be able to use that FHA buyer or FHA loan to be able to purchase a property because they haven't been able to. And I'm not saying here that no one's been able to use an FHA loan in the last couple of years. I'm just saying statistically, it is more difficult now to use your FHA loan, and it has been over the last couple of years, than probably ever before. So really what I'm talking about here is supply and demand. When you've got a house on the market that everyone wants and only one person at the end of the day is going to be able to purchase it, let's say you get 40 offers on a home, which is honestly happening quite often in the North Texas market or North Dallas market. If you get 40 offers on a house, 39 other people are having to go back on the market and go after another house. There's just not enough inventory. So those 39 other buyers go and try to attack maybe 5 or 10 other homes that may fit what they're looking for. So those other 30 buyers are still just waiting for something new to hit the market to be able to go and attack and put an offer in. And also with interest rates rising, a lot of people now are going to want to stay where they're at. So rather than listing their home and maybe upgrading because they have a 3% interest rate, they're going to stick with their house at 3% interest rate instead of going and purchasing something else and getting a high 5 or 6% interest rate. So this again is going to hurt the inventory and supply and demand here. Also, new homes have a big part to play when it comes to supply and demand. Now I'm going to show you guys something, how many homes have been constructed each decade, and then look at how many new homes have been constructed in the last decade. And this certainly has a big reason why our inventory shortage right now is just so incredibly low. I mean, honestly, almost every single thing in our market is selling above with multiple offers, with waiving appraisal, with just very aggressive terms, and some people can't compete with it. So they want to go new construction. Well, when you call a new build, now they're actually bidding on new build construction homes. Now they're also taking wait lists of hundreds of people to the point where they're sold out through 2023. This is single-handedly happening because we didn't build enough new homes in the last decade. And one of the biggest driving factors to home prices is, again, supply and demand. Now, a lot of people like to compare what is about to happen or what may happen, whether it be a recession or a market crash or just a plateau or whatever it may be, because at the end of the day, this is just my opinion. No one truly knows what's going to happen, but what you can do is you can compare this to 2008. 2008 was an incredible housing crash. And almost everyone can say with assurance that this is nothing like 2008. Now, the biggest thing with the 2008 housing crisis was just how easy it was to be able to purchase a home. I can tell you, having purchased multiple homes in the last few years, it is very difficult to be able to purchase a home and continue to qualify for a home. It's much different than when it was back in 2008. Also, because home prices have gone up substantially, the amount of people that even if the market does crash, the amount of equity that they'll still have in their homes is going to be tremendous. Now, the issue is when you purchase a home, for instance, a ton of people were purchasing homes back in 2008, the market crashes and the home prices just tank. You no longer have equity, you can't afford the home, you've got to foreclose on the home, and then that leads to just an astronomical amount of inventory. And right now, again, we are at an all-time low of inventory. Now, jumping back to interest rates, I think this is going to be the biggest issue moving forward. And the big question is where will interest rates go? Where will interest rates plateau? Will they come back down? Will they continue to rise? Obviously, if interest rates just continue to climb at the rate that they have been climbing, yes, there's going to be a significant fall off of buyers, as well as potentially a recession of some sort, because homes are no longer going to be able to be afforded when you've got interest rates of 8, 9, 10+%. Now, in the past, yes, interest rates have gotten up substantially, up towards 20%, but housing was far more affordable in terms of the dollar value. But again, we're just talking decades ago, and the dollar value then is much different with inflation than the dollar value is today. So one thing that I would definitely stay tuned for is where interest rates go. This is probably going to be the biggest deciding factor, but I can tell you, regardless where interest rates go, your specific market is really what I would be looking at too. For instance, again, going back to my market, the DFW market, we are very, very diverse, meaning we are not single-handedly just one specific type of metroplex. For instance, Houston's a very oil-heavy market. The Austin, Texas market is a very tech-heavy market. The Bay Area is a very tech-heavy market. If you're thinking about the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, we are very, very diverse when it comes to all of the employers in our region. So even if we had a recession and a ton of people had to be laid off for a certain profession, we aren't personally going to be significantly affected because we are so diverse at the end of the day when it comes to employers. So really, my opinion at the end of the day, I think housing is definitely going to cool off. Housing prices have gone up substantially in the last couple of years that it's just not sustainable. I remember being able to purchase a rental property in my market, a standard 322, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage in a, probably a C-class neighborhood for $200,000. That was probably back in 2017, 2018 when I first entered our market here. Now, if you were to take that house, it would be at least $300,000. So in the last 5 years, appreciation of close to 33, 35%. That rate is just not attainable year after year after year. So certainly the home prices here in my local metro, I think they're going to cool off as far as appreciation. It's going to continue to appreciate just like almost every home does in any part of the country. Now, home values do crash if the market crashes, but what matters at the end of the day is if the market crashes, are you selling or are you able to hold it and withstand the crash until home prices go back up? I personally know someone that held through the crash in Vegas where they said they would have absolutely been destroyed had they sold, but now they've actually got a substantial amount of equity having held through the crisis of 2008 all the way to now. So honestly, guys, I am a local expert in Texas, Dallas specifically. I am not someone that researches this on the daily. This is something I just do for a job day in and day out. My personal opinion doesn't mean it's going to be true. It doesn't mean that everything I say is valid, but again, it is my personal opinion. At the end of the day, the housing market is going to do what the housing market's going to do. No one really knows. No one knows where really interest rates are going to go. No one knows if housing prices can continue to climb at the rate that they have climbed. All we can do is measure what is happening now to what has happened in the past. The difficult part is what we are dealing with now has never happened in the past. So it's very, very difficult to be able to calculate and formulate what is truly going to happen. All we can do is wait. But that also goes back to just my mentality. It's something that I'm not necessarily going to be able to impact, right? Me personally, there's nothing I can say or do that's going to slow down interest rates or bring them back down. There's nothing I can say or do that is going to increase or slow down the housing market in my local metroplex or even across the country. All I can do is adjust to the housing market in which it happens, whether or not interest rates rise considerably even more than they are now, or if the housing market takes a crash and we go into a recession. At the end of the day, I'm just going to continue to create content for you guys, give you my opinion, give you my advice, and help you out as much as I can. Thanks again for all the support, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe. It really does help. And stay tuned. We're going to continue to get this studio even more developed than where we are today. The next project we got going for you is soundproofing. And then you'll end it with, my name's Jeff.